back, guys, to Porter Real's channel, joined by VWilson92. We have just recently sampled a foreign food which will be premiering at some point on our channel, so stay tuned in the future. Certainly an interesting banana flavoured marshmallow chocolate product, so stay tuned on that on our channels. But now it's time for Porter Real to talk about the daily or the weekly events that have been unfolding. So we promote free speech on this channel, so feel free to talk about whatever you desire, and you can, any feedback is greatly appreciated, so leave any comments down below, any constructive feedback please. No trolling on this platform, because trolling will be censored and you'll be sent to Banville. Porter Real, the stage is yours, take it away.
We certainly have. We've just sampled a Danish banana marshmallow chocolate bar called Scum, and it was absolutely horrific. I awarded it 6 out of 10. He gave 8.5. So again, free speech is so important, isn't it? Absolutely revolting. Ironically, we're filming this a few days after Halloween, and he's just noticed that my emblem is of the Guido Fawkes mask. And I selected that to hide my identity. And he's just found that V for Vendetta film is 20-year anniversary. It was actually posted below my recent video. And I said to, well, I'm not going to reveal, V-Man or Vitalga, I said to him, have you actually cropped that photo? And he said, no. IGN actually posted a video at the same time point as me. But I was first. So let's get started. Point number 1, Porter Real has finally ended his partial censorship from YouTube. However, YouTube will be watching Porter Real and David Icke's return to YouTube like a hawk, because David Icke actually returned to YouTube one day after my restrictions were lifted, and I checked out his recent video. I think he's just called David Icke, or Iconic, isn't it? And that really woke me up throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. We actually talked about this before filming this video, that in 1948, for example, the State of Israel was formed. And it was formed by big billionaire bankers like the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, Goldman Sachs, very powerful, influential billionaire bankers. And the term anti-Semitism was created to stop the poor and middle class questioning the State of Israel, for example. Now, I don't hate Jewish people at all, but all I'm trying to say is follow the money. Israel, although it's a very small country, is funded by big billionaire bankers like JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, and Donald Trump is parroting from the script. Anti-Semitism. We also talked about the mark of the beast before filming this video, and it relates to a mark on the forehead or on the right hand, or 666, or a pentagram. Now, there are conspiracy theories that microchips, do they amount to a mark of the beast? I don't think so if it's for medical purposes. But what David Icke also talked about was what the Illuminati or global elites want to do. They want to get on the body first. Apple Watches, he's a victim of it. Now, what the global elites want to do is to get inside the body through microchips, nanotechnology. Elon Musk has Neuralink, implants basically, under the guise of serving people. Capitalism. Anyway, get back to my point. So David Icke's back on YouTube. The Illuminati love censorship under the guise of hate speech, as it equals more control over the global population, but the freedom of speech is the freedom to speak. Point number 2. That was a nice sideshow, wasn't it? So what do you think on that point? What's your point of view?
Yeah, go to the summary discussion, and it was perfect timing with our off-camera discussions as well, that Porter Real. Nicely done there with the including that there. So.
Because, yeah, I mean, what I'm trying to say is with the mark of the beast, I think that's thrown around very commonly now. But if it doesn't go against the teachings of Christ, folks, you should be okay. I don't hate Israel, I don't hate Jewish people, but all I'm trying to say is follow the money. Because the American Congress is actually funded by Israel itself. I don't know the specific term. So Donald Trump cannot question Israel or the Jewish people because the US government will lose that funding. Follow the money. Point number 2. Right. So Donald Trump has begun nuclear weapon testing from his Department of War. Perhaps even over the Gulf of America. Because media outlets still using Gulf of Mexico like CNBC and CNN have been censored from the White House press briefings for saying Gulf of Mexico, which it still is. So is President Trump flexing his alpha male muscles to scare China, Russia and North Korea? Or does Trump need to seek advice from his mentor Ronald McDonald as the boss clown? You decide. But what I find, folks, is because Donald Trump loves McDonald's, that's the joke, folks. Ronald McDonald or Donald Trump. Well, the White House is a circus. But if you think about it in terms of war, Donald Trump has renamed the Department of Defense Department of War. With nuclear weapons, with war itself, if politicians start talking about war more and more, it actually escalates tensions. The best way to stop racism and war is to stop talking about it, for example. But that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Donald Trump is flexing his alpha male muscles on the golf course. Maybe I'm wrong. It's your point of view. So just those 2 points there for this video there, folks. But what do you think in terms of the Illuminati, anti-Semitism, the mark of the beast, Donald Trump talking about war? Is that escalating the fact? What do you think on my points?
Good discussions there so far of the weekly events, so nicely done there. Great use of incorporating the discussions that we had earlier today, and certainly interesting views there regarding the weekly events that are going on with Mr. Presidente.
But you're jumping on the bandwagon there. What are your thoughts? Because I'm intrigued. I am intrigued.
I don't particularly have anything to add there, guys. It's just it's not really something I've been keeping up, so got no further comments to raise there. Polton Real.
But do you think I'm a conspiracy? What are your thoughts? Because even Brian Rose would give his opinions with his discussions with David Icke, and you're sitting on the fence. Tell me I'm wrong. Do you think billionaire bankers like JP Morgan funding Israel is right? Do you think anti-Semitism is just thrown around as an obstacle so people don't question Israel, for example? Maybe I'm right or wrong.
It's all about you to decide, guys, because as for me, I have no real views because I'm not too familiar with these discussions, so that's why I like to listen to Polton Real's views and question Polton Real. But in this case, I have no further questions to raise. But it's all about you, whether you want to decide what does Polton Real think. Let us know down in the comments section below, because it's all about you to question everyone and question everything.
What a total pussy, isn't he, or wimp? Because conversations are two-way processes, and I'm not trying to incite any hatred at all towards Israel or to the Illuminati or to Mark of the Beast. I'm just trying to stimulate a debate, because anti-Semitism is a term that has lost its meaning. We're not talking about the concentration camps in Auschwitz and the Holocaust, which was barbaric. But if Norway, for example, when they played Israel a few weeks ago and Erling Haaland scored a hat-trick, there were so-called journalists on GB News claiming that Erling Haaland was anti-Semitic because he scored a few goals against Israel. I'm trying to say it's a term that has lost its meaning. The mark of the beast, we discussed that off camera, and I don't think it applies, if a person has a chip for medical purposes. No, I don't think that is the mark of the beast at all, if it doesn't go against the teachings of Christ and the book of Revelation. conversation. But it's an interesting conversation. David Icke's back on YouTube. I'm surprised I'm still active here, folks, but David Icke is back with Iconic, and he really woke me up throughout the pandemic. And apparently, according to Icke, everything revolves back to Bill Gates. You know, it's interesting debate there. So I'm going to leave it there for this video. Is there anything else throughout the news that we can talk about? I don't think so. Keir Starmer is at the COP30 Climate Change Summit with Prince William in Brazil. And I haven't actually seen much media footage. So does Keir Starmer have clout on the world stage? Is climate change another hoax? Let me know down below. You know, I just haven't seen much media coverage. But then again, is Donald Trump a climate denier because he hasn't attended? What do you think about climate change and the COP summit?
It certainly seems to be a farce more than anything with global warming and net zero. Definitely a farce there, guys, in my opinions.
And it was funny, I watched Prime Minister's Questions every Wednesday at 12 p.m. I saw a very quick clip, and David Lammy was answering questions because Starmer is at this COP30 summit. And David Lammy attacked Nigel Farage because he was sat in his seat in Parliament, but Farage was supposed to be protesting away from his seat because he always gets interrupted. And David Lammy said to Nigel Farage, "You've got 9 jobs and you're making a lot of money selling gold bullion." And I thought, well, you decide, folks. Is Farage a crook? Is he a grifter? Or does he care about the working class? But you can't have a politician representing the working class while selling gold bullion there, folks. But you question, you know, maybe I'm wrong. What do you think about that point?
Yeah, interesting point, wasn't it? And we certainly observed what's going on, but we can agree or disagree with the points that's been raised. So it's all about you to question. Do you agree there, guys? Let us know down in the comments below.
Another wimp response. So I'm going to leave it there. I think my conscience is clear. Any other current events? I don't think so. My conscience is clear. I'll let you wrap it up.
So stay tuned for this podcast to premiere on Porter Reel's channel, and as always, Porter Reel's favourite catchphrase: we always question everyone and question everything.
Yeah, and one final disclaimer, I'm not trying to incite hatred or racism towards anybody. I'm just trying to trigger a healthy debate and talk about controversial topics which most of the media are not prepared to talk about. They have to read from a script. We don't. I'm not sponsored. So thanks for your time, and please just keep an open mind. That's all I ask. Yo!